And in this almost ever-changing daily landscape that we call YouTube, I find myself under siege and getting attacked by a scraplet in the latest GotBot True review. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. I'm your host, your most humble of hosts, Dennis Moulton, aka GotBot. As always, please like, comment, share, of course subscribe. More important now than ever before. And while you're at it, hit that notification bell please, because it lets you know when content of all sorts goes up here on the channel. At least for now. Let's hope that continues into perpetuity. Though, to be fair, in this ever-changing landscape, I've heard a couple of things that are giving me a little bit of hope, but that's not going to be our focus today. Check out Machinery of Man, The Everything Factor, Transformers Collectors, NL, and have a look for me everywhere across social media. All those links are in the description, and I love being able to interact with you guys whenever we get the opportunity, man. And this is a Scraplet, and it is a bit of a weird fringe character that I was first introduced to during the Transformers Prime series, and I feel like this character model representation here really matches that character model animation, more so than it does the look for this pest, if you will, dangerous pest at that, in the Cyberverse series. I think this is the first time that us collectors have ever been able to add scraplets to our collection, and it's one of those molds that's easily used as like army builders, so to speak. And it kind of works, and it looks sort of glorious. It has actually excellent paint apps. The articulation is a little lacking, so is the transformation, but it looks really good on a display shelf. Anyway, as I try and say all of that in one breath, maybe it's time for me to stop, ease back, take a breath, and we'll head over to the table and take a closer look at this guy. Now, to be fair, this is a little bit of a different review because this is an extremely niche review. You have to be a very specific type of collector to want to have a scraplet. And to me, it's worth it for a couple of reasons. One, because scraplets, to my knowledge, at least for me, were introduced during the Transformers Prime series as a pest that was really dangerous to all Cybertronians. They were a dangerous thing, you know, like you don't approach. Us humans, we don't tend to approach like Black Widow spiders or like venomous snakes or whatever. Well, Cybertronians don't tend to approach scraplets because they're kind of like a metal munching piranha mixed with a scurrying like spider type of thing. Like they're a pest. Nevertheless, anyone who's followed the channel for any length of time know that I have a couple of members of my family who I refer to as the Scraplets. And, you know, we all know, of course, Starscream wife. But to me, I wanted at least two of these guys for that very reason, as kind of familial representations, because I do have that tie to them. Nevertheless, I think it's kind of cool to at least have a couple of Scraplets to add to the collection overall. Anyway, why not? I like kind of quirky little things, so I'm going to grade it as somebody who is attracted to quirky things being in their collection. This is not going to be for everyone. A lot of collectors and fans will look at it and say, is that even a character? A lot of people won't even know it, and those who do will likely say it's just a pest. It really doesn't add anything to the lore, and I understand that. Nevertheless, we're going to take a look at this packaging first. And while I am not typically a collector of the Cyberverse line, I almost don't consider this a part of the Cyberverse line, even though it is branded as such. We do have animation at the top, indicative of the way the scraplets look in the Cyberverse series, and they have been used by Starscream within that series in a very nefarious way. But to me, again, I look at the animation model as they are in the Transformers Prime series. Nevertheless, on the back we do have the product images, as we always do with these packages, and we have instructions, perhaps the most laughably simple instructions I've ever seen. Never have I seen such a simplistic transformation scheme, and I get it because it's a transformer, it needs to convert from one thing to another, and you can see the entire transformation scheme here. On the other side of the instructions we have really one panel of how the chomping gimmick works. Which brings us to this little pest. And it's branded as a Decepticon. I don't know why. Whenever anything isn't an Autobot, it's always a Decepticon. These aren't really Decepticons. They're a danger to all Cybertronians. Decepticon, Autobot, Predacon, Maximal, whatever. They're, just saying. They're a nuisance. Now, in terms of the paint apps, I'm going to say it's a 10. This looks like the character model. I love the silver wash that's on the head with a little bit of weathering, no less. And here, I think the weathering is done well. In fact, I think the weathering is done better here than any of the representations of characters offered in the Siege line. And the eyes in particular here are fantastic. I'm not sure what they are. I want to say it's a translucent plastic with some sort of like a blue wash over it. Maybe it's blue plastic with a little bit of a like metallic-y blue wash over part of it. I'm not sure, but it looks very pearlescent and fantastic. So I'm saying a 10 for the look. In terms of the articulation, well, these are small and simplistic because they're just pests. I mean, when you think of like an insect, how much movement does it need? The little mandibles at the front, they don't really do much. The little legs are individually articulated. They can kick forward, I suppose. Does it kick back? Not really back, but like they each kick forward independently. So, I don't know. The Scraplet can walk, I suppose. And that's it for articulation. So like, some G1 characters have articulation better than this. And I don't know. You have to make the call for yourself. I'm going to say like a 2 for articulate. I'm going to say a 1 for articulation. Why? Because really there's 1 point of articulation. In terms of the conversion, you turn this guy to the side and then you bring this all the way back and down on all 4 legs, I suppose. He goes, he could scurry around this way, and this is when it's kind of noted as going in like, I'll say attack mode, I guess. But it's barely a conversion. It's barely. I'm going to say it's 10 because I like the simplicity of it just getting down, but like, let's be realistic, it's more like a 1. So, overall score, for me, for representation of a Scraplet, I think it's a 10. I think it's an excellent representation. But in terms of being, a good Transformers offering, I could see how a lot of people might say it's not worth it. It's like a 1. It's not good. Why did they even, bother to make it? But I like the quirky, the different, the unique added to my collection. So I'm really glad to add a Scraplet, or, if you will, to my collection. And the only other thing to kind of talk about here before we take off is the little gimmick. There's a button here on the head, and when you press the button on the head, you can see what happens. The jaw opens. There's a spinning gimmick inside. I don't know if that's needed, but I understand that the opening jaw and the chomping, that's what Scraplets do. They eat the metal that make up Cybertronians. That's why they're so dangerous. I wish there was a way that you could kind of lock the button into position so that the mouth would stay open. But to me, this works. I like it. I absolutely dig it. I think that overall, it's about a 10. Works for me, man. Works for me. And here we are once again, and I have 2 of these, but I have it for a personal reason. Anybody who's been around here for a long time realizes that I always talk about Starscream Wife and the Scraplets, and I like being able to actually have physical representations of that moniker. I think I prefer the kind of attack stance. It would be nice if, that gimmick button could be held down to stay in complete attack stance, but this will suffice, really in any display, I think. They may even be a little bit oversized for the scaling that they should be, but it's what we got, and I'm okay with that. I like it for what it is, but it's definitely intended for a very niche collector, and it's not going to appeal to everyone's display. Certainly anyone who is, say, a G1 purist may very well say, well, Scraplets really didn't come around until Transformers Prime, so I don't want to add them. But to anybody that likes something kind of quirky and different to sort of jazz up the look on the shelf, I think these guys do a very nice job of jazzing things up, especially with those beautiful eyes. Anyway, let me know what you think about these little guys. You know I love to hear from you. As always, I'm going to say, please hit that subscribe button. It helps me out so very much. If you're in a position to help the channel to grow, there is a donate link down in the description. Besides that, the only thing left to say is thank you for dropping by, give me some of your extremely valuable time. Don't forget, that somehow, some way, you do make a difference each and every day, and I look forward to the next time that you and I get together to have a visit, either in the live streams at the stop motion premieres or the old-fashioned way, man, right here inside the videos.